First off, thank you to everyone that came to my longevity lecture this weekend. It was quite a success. A lot of people showed up and they were very interested about this topic. So let's dive in a little bit more, since so many people are interested in slowing down the aging process or even reverse it. First off, what is aging? I mean, we know what it looks like. We definitely all know what it feels like. But what is happening internally? Like, why do we age, and do we have to? Is there a law that states that we have to age? You might be surprised. Well, aging is a loss of information due to entropy. It's a software issue, if you will. And aging is a disease. And finally, scientists agree to that. And if you think about it, all age-related diseases come because of aging itself, such as heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, dementia, metabolic diseases, and the list goes on and on. But we focus so much on the symptoms rather than just going back to the root cause, what causes all these age-related diseases. Why not just targeting, aging itself? Because we are at a time in history where this is actually possible. We can actually say now that it's easier to turn the clock back or slow down the aging process rather than waiting until you have one of those age-related diseases and then trying to fight it off with drugs and radiation and so on. And a huge part of the aging process that takes place internally is in our genome. And as an analogy, the genome that controls which genes get turned on and off loses its information. As an analogy, if I tell my friend here a story, and then he repeats the story to another friend, and then that friend repeats the story to another friend, and so on, right? We all know well enough, if it goes through 50 people, my original story will be changed. There will be some level of loss of information of the original story. And our genome, acts in the same way. They literally, slowly but surely forget what it's supposed to do. The wrong gene turns on at the wrong cell at the wrong time. And that really is some of the hallmarks of aging. And there are two ways on how we measure aging. First is the chronological aging, which is according time. How many times Earth goes around the sun determines your age, which, by the way, in the near future will change. A more accurate way to determine your real biological age is biological aging testing. It's called the Horvath clock. Dr. Horvath, that happened to be from my country, from Austria, invented this clock. It measures 353 methylation markers in your genome. Remember, the genome is what turns genes on and off. And we can very accurately determine your biological age. As an example, according time, I'm 46, almost going to 47. But when I took the test, I'm actually 34. So that means my genome, biologically speaking, everything in my body, works like a 34-year-old. So I reversed my aging process by 12 years. And yes, it's not science fiction anymore, it is possible. And we are so far ahead in that field, we can even determine when you die. If I take your blood today, I can very accurately tell you when you die. Let's say you have 10 years to live, right? And you might say, but I don't want to know when I die. Well, if there's nothing we can do about it, okay, I understand, fair enough. But if I tell you, hey, with your current lifestyle, if you keep going the way you keep going, then you have about 10 years to live. But if we implemented some changes, you can actually extend that to 30. Would you like to know? Spend more time with your children or grandchildren or whoever? Because we are at a time in history where this is actually possible. And according to Dr. David Sinclair, who is the leading scientist in the anti-aging, he actually says that the young genome never gets lost. There is a copy of your young genome in each cell. So that means even if you're 100 years old, the young you never gets lost. Now all we have to do is just tap into that and activate it. So that's why, we're so confident in that field that it's just a matter of time. As a matter of fact, in animals, we already know on how to speed up the aging process and then also reverse it. And they're doing the human trials right now. And yes, it is possible. There will be a pill or a series of pills on the market that reverses, your aging process. So you're going to have like negative birthdays. Now that's a real reason to celebrate birthdays, right? Because you literally get like 1 year, 2 years, younger. Now we don't know exactly how many times we can do that process, but so far in animal studies has shown we can do it multiple times. And here is why it is possible to reverse the aging process, which I have proved to myself and many of my clients that follow my anti-aging program, which you can see on the website if you want to read about it on TrueNutrition.life. All right, so there are two types of information in our DNA. As an analogy, 20% is digital, which means it cannot be changed. But we found out that 80% is epigenetics. And epigenetics responds to nutrition, lifestyle, love, community, having a positive outlook in life, education. That literally gets imprinted in your DNA. So what that means is that 80% on how fast you want to age. And it also means on how fast you want to get those age-related diseases we talked about, cancer, heart disease, dementia, Alzheimer, and metabolic diseases, and so on, is really in your hands. Isn't that amazing? We used to, say that, oh, I have bad genes, I'm a victim of my genes, there's nothing I can do about it. Well, that excuse doesn't work no more, because we know now that 80% is in your hands. Think about this for a second. That is amazing. And that's why it's possible, to reverse the aging process. And when all that started was with twins. One twin grew up in a city, unhealthy lifestyle. The other one grew up on a land and had a healthy lifestyle. And they haven't seen each other for a long time. So when they got together, they looked so different. One looked much younger and one looked much older. And think about it. Twins are genetically identical. So then the scientists said, well, how is that possible? Can we actually do something about aging? Can we actually slow it down or reverse it? And that happened a long time ago, but that really was the first time when we actually started to look into that field to do something about it. And now, 30 years later, we are that close to have a drug on the market that literally reverse the aging process, and it gives you negative birthdays. Stay tuned, because in the next 10 years there's going to be a lot happening. And even now we already know how to slow aging and also reverse it. Go to my website and check out the anti-aging blueprint. It tells you everything step by step, what it entails to do it. And keep those age-related diseases away, because remember, 80% is in your hands.